Hello Airfield Club members, my name is Travis Maple. I'm the winemaker here for Airfield Estates Winery. Since this year we're unable to do our club release party, we wanted to do something very fun for you guys at home. And that's have me kind of record each one of the club wines that you guys are receiving in your shipments. A little bit of really fun, in-depth information about how we make these really fun wines just for you as being a club member. The one that we're going to be tasting right now is our 2018 Tempranillo. It's been a long time since Airfield has actually typically made a straight Tempranillo. For those of you that are loyal Airfield fans and love our Hellcat wine, you know that that wine is a good majority of Tempranillo. Tempranillos, especially from our estate vineyard, it really just kind of showcases like how well varietals from all around the world really thrive here in Washington State, and especially with our estate vineyard. This Tempranillo comes from what we would consider a reserve tier block, meaning that the yields are actually cropped smaller. And what this is going to do is it's going to have more complex characteristics, more depth of these beautiful fruit components, and overall more roundness of the wine as well. Now, Tempranillos are a really fascinating varietal to make. First, they're very large grapes and they're very, very fleshy. And they're very, very low in acid, making it a very enjoyable overall experience for wine. What I do when I bring these grapes in is I do destem them 100%, but we do not crush the grapes. Again, they're very fleshy, and more crushing would possibly lead to probably heavier tannin extraction. And on a wine such as a Tempranillo, we want to make it so this wine is very lush and very round and smooth. So after we've done the harvesting of the wines, this is typically going into very small fermenters. What I want to do is I want to do a process called cold soaking for about 72 hours. That's where we don't really do anything to the wine. What we're doing is we're actually extracting color without the presence of alcohol. This is going to help us once we do inoculate for alcoholic fermentation. It's going to make it so I've achieved a lot of my color extractions, and it's going to allow us to have a better extraction overall. Something very unique I do with the Tempranillo is I actually inoculate this with 3 different yeast strands. One yeast strand is meant for kind of a really fun fruit characteristic development. The other yeast strand is really going to kind of heighten the varietal characteristics. And then my final yeast strand is going to be called Baianus yeast, and that's actually going to help it so it's going to go dry. Especially when you're dealing with a wine with such a low pH or high pH and low acid that the Tempranillos consist of. During our fermentation and our extraction protocol, I do like to have a reasonable, gentle approach throughout the fermentation. I might be a little bit more aggressive earlier on just to make sure that we're getting all of our color and all of those fruit characteristics. But really with a delicate varietal like this, I want to make it so that we don't over extract, because I want these wines to be very lush on the palate. And so typically what we're doing is we're only doing a process called punch downs. It's a very gentle form of extraction. And I try to make it so that we don't really get too hot in the fermentation either. So typically a varietal like a Tempranillo, we'll see about 86 to 89 degrees in that variance. We really don't want them to get more warm than 89 degrees, because then we're going to start to extract bitterness from the wine. Fermentation like this too, being so gentle, it actually has a really prolonged fermentation, lasting about 19 days, going dry on the skins. And then what we want to do is I want to make it so we're really accentuating this beautiful dark blue fruit characteristics of the wine, and we don't want to be too obtrusive with our oak aging. A Tempranillo does deserve some really good French oak. This wine was aged in 100% French oak. Out of that 100%, 10% of it was actually brand new French oak, and then 5% of it was 2-year-old French oak, with the remaining 85% neutral oak. What this oak aging is doing is it's really kind of helping create more of this backbone of the wine, giving it some of these really complex savory spices. Now when you guys taste this Tempranillo, you're going to notice right away just how fun the fruit characteristics are in this wine. It is packed with a whole complex characteristics of blue and darker fruits. So right away out of the glass I get like marionberry jam, boysenberries, some blueberries. But there's also some really fun, complex elements too, especially on the secondary part of the palate. We'll get fun notes of fresh figs and some black tea leaves. The wine is going to finish incredibly smooth. Again, there's very little presence of acid in this wine, making it incredibly enjoyable to drink on its own, but also be a very nice wine to pair with a bunch of different foods. The finish is going to linger on that palate for minutes at a time. And again, you're not going to see this accentuation of acid, and you won't see a big tannin impact either. So it's a very, very enjoyable wine. A wine like this is definitely meant to age. These wines were actually just bottled in May, so it's still very, very young wine. What I would recommend to you guys at home is, before enjoying this wine, is open this bottle of wine up, take the cork off, and let this bottle breathe for about 30 minutes to an hour. Or if you have a decanter, utilize your decanter for about 30 minutes or so, and you'll be very impressed with the results. Again, the wine being very young, but it's drinking amazing right now, and the ageability this wine has. This wine has probably a maximum lifespan going all the way up until 2030, with about 2027, 2028 being its optimal maturity, meaning that's going to be the absolute best time to drink it. But with a wine like this, you can enjoy this wine right away. It's a very, very small production, and again, for one of the great perks of being a club member at Airfield is you guys have the exclusive access to these fun wines. So for everyone at home, I hope you guys enjoy our Tempranillo. Thank you very much, and cheers.